Well, hello. It is that time. It is. It's time for hemp. That was a good hit. I have to say, I like getting a good hit any chance I can, and sharing a good hit with my friends. Please join me for a little. Today's program is going to be a little longer than usual. We got a great guest on today. His name is Jeffrey Goldberg, and Jeffrey has worked diligently in the cannabis movement to help make it become more and more like any other business around the world by selling stocks in the cannabis stock market. He's done other things as well in the cannabis movement. He doesn't just sell stocks in the cannabis movement. He also is a medical cannabis patient. But I'll let Jeffrey tell you his story. You're going to have to turn your speakers up a little bit loud today because Jeffrey is dealing with throat cancer. So it's kind of hard to hear him a little bit. And so he also had posted on his homepage, which is a great website you need to go and visit. And let's just check it out right now while we got a chance to. It's right here. Here we go. Let's see. And it is Friedman Finch Company, friedmanfinch.com. And let's see, there you can go. You can see the whole thing. And so on his homepage there, on his website, you should go to it. You can find his video that he put together. And on his video, he talks about how he got involved in the cannabis movement. And he talks about how it was that he got involved with selling stocks in the cannabis movement. And he made this video while he still had a strong voice. So we're going to be sharing parts of that video today along with our interview with him. And of course, we're going to have some sponsors come on and share their services and their products with you so that we can still continue to be part of the broadcasting body out there, because we can't do this for free. We have to have sponsors. Now, I know some of you on Facebook hate it when we have advertising, but you know, I can't help it. But before we go to advertising first, let's learn a little bit about Jeffrey from his original video, and then we'll take a couple of breaks and start the show. Well, let's see, do you want to start the show? Yeah, okay. Let's just start the show with the theme music, and then we'll have some information from Jeffrey, and then we'll have his interview. So here we go.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look now and take some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for him. Oh, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rest. Well, right now it's time for him.
Hello, I'm Jeffrey Goldberg, founding partner of Friedman Fitch Associates, and I'm the first to admit I love marijuana. And you should too. Marijuana has quite literally changed my life, and now I'm on a mission to help ordinary folk like you become what People magazine called marijuana millionaires. I made my fortune originally as a venture capitalist during the dot-com boom of the 90s and was living the good life. All that was to change. A few years later, I was recovering from cancer and addicted to prescription pain medication. That was when someone recommended marijuana. I was skeptical, but gave it a go and was amazed at the change to my life. I was soon able to kick the painkillers altogether and started getting my life back together. However, that wasn't the only change. My natural curiosity and experience in the markets made me start investigating the growing marijuana industry. The potential I saw truly amazed me, and now that potential is being realised, because finally we have the end of prohibition. Marijuana's prohibition. Already 28 states have legalised medical marijuana, 16 states have decriminalised it, and 8 states plus the District of Columbia have made both recreational and medical use completely legal. So the train has left the station. There's no stopping it. The end of marijuana's prohibition is a foregone conclusion, and the money in play is becoming ridiculous. Last year alone, legal marijuana created $6.7 billion of new wealth. By 2020, it is expected to hit a $35 billion a year industry. And that's not just some hype figures, that is direct from Bank of America and Merrill Lynch. In fact, experts believe that it could even reach $200 billion each and every year. Nearly every news organisation, from the National Geographic to the New York Times and USA Today, is coming to the same conclusion. This is becoming a modern-day gold rush. Actually, that's a bit of an understatement, because the amount of marijuana sold each year could soon become 5 times more valuable than the amount of all the gold that's mined. Ironically, even the gold miners see this. Take South American Gold Corp. It operates mines all over the world, including Arizona, Montana and Washington. Back in May, South American Gold Corp announced it was going to use some of its properties to grow marijuana. Not surprisingly, its stock shot up by 1,829% in a month. Seagrowth Capital did even better. Despite their name, they actually own gold mines in the western United States. But that's not why their stock shot up 3,429% in 2016. That massive surge coincided with an announcement in April that they were expanding into marijuana. And there's a really important lesson to be learnt from South American Gold Corp and Seagrowth Capital. It's one that can make you rich. To stake your claim to this historic cash grab, you don't have to operate a dispensary selling retail marijuana or become a farmer that plants the pot. You could become the next marijuana millionaire from the stock market. And as I'm about to show you, there's an absolutely undeniable connection between states passing marijuana legislation and small pot stocks surging in value. So I just told you how last May, South American Gold Corp stock shot up by 1,829% in just 1 month. Do you know what else happened in May? Ohio lawmakers passed House Bill 523 with a resounding 71 to 26 vote, and just like that, the Buckeye State was on its way to becoming the 25th state to legalise medical marijuana. Also in May, Favor Group, a company that sells vaporizers and electronic cigarette devices, began a 5-month run that would see its shares increase by 1,550%. And, during that same window, the global Hemp Group jumped 1,100%. Now go back a little further to last April. I told you about Seagrowth Capital kicking off its 3,429% run. Do you know what happened a couple of weeks prior to that? Pennsylvania's House of Representatives voted to legalise medical marijuana. The legislation didn't just squeak through either. It passed 149 to 46, setting off cheers in the chamber. But from the looks of it, Seagrowth Capital wasn't the only marijuana stock to benefit from it. Consider the Digital Development Group. They offer internet subscriptions for independently produced content. They even have an exclusive streaming agreement with Amazon. Digital Development Group made a very smart gamble. It launched MJ360 TV. The channel catered for those who have a fondness for weed. The Digital Development Group is a tiny company. On February the 26th, its stock was trading well below a penny. It was so cheap, you could probably have bought 50,000 shares for the price of an OK cup of coffee at a truck stop. But by March 11th, about 2 weeks later, its stock shot up 1,500%, right in line with Pennsylvania's legislation.
If you're seeking healthy products for your skincare needs, you'll want to visit HempEase.com. The fine folks at HempEase.com blend together 9 healing herbs that have been selected specifically to help reduce swelling, rejuvenate circulation, invigorate cellular growth, and stimulate deep tissue healing. When you visit their website, you will find a wide variety of great products, from body butter to body salves to fantastic hemp root oil that is just great for all parts of your body. And there's even something there for your special four-legged friends that everyone considers part of the family. So if you're looking for something that is made of organic healing herbs specifically designed for your body's needs, you'll want to visit hempease.com. That's HEMP-EAZE.com.
How would you like to have all the best cannabis info all in one place? Canafo.com is the Google, Facebook, and Craigslist of cannabis. It even has its own social media platform. Canafo.com puts the world of medicinal and recreational cannabis in one place for consumers, businesses, and growers. Canafo.com is a free service where you can find over 9,000 different strains of cannabis, shop cannabis classifieds, and much more. Canafo.com is the world's most comprehensive source for all things cannabis. Get in the know with Canafo.
Friedman Fitch Associates are financial advisors specializing in cannabis investing. You don't have to be a drug dealer to get rich from marijuana. Now you could get filthy rich from the stock market. In the last few years, 64 weed stocks have shot up over 1,000%. Why? Because the prohibition of weed is coming to an end. 29 states have now legalized medical cannabis. 8 states have legalized recreational use. It is estimated that $35 billion in new wealth will be created each year, causing the green rush. And smart investors are cashing in. So how do you become a smart investor? Easy. Talk to the #1 financial advisor specializing in the marijuana industry. Friedman Fitch Associates aim to offer sound, well-researched advice rather than hype. Get rich the safe way. Invest in marijuana stocks with Friedman Fitch Associates. Go to friedmanfitch.com and register for a free consultation. That's friedmanfitch.com.
Thank you for taking Time for Hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network all around the world on Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio. And if you're watching this, you might be watching it on Roku TV or on our Facebook channel or our YouTube channel or all the places that we are now expanding our content. And I want to thank you for tuning in today. Our guest today is a fantastic individual who's been finding new solutions to problems that we have been dealing with all around the world in the new markets that we are building here in the cannabis industry, and that is how to safely take care of our money and the transactions that we contend ourselves with when it comes to making purchases for the stores and getting things arranged for our staff and getting money to our bank. I'd like to introduce to our program today the guy who makes all that happen, Jeffrey Goldberg. Jeffrey, thank you for taking Time for Hemp.
It's my pleasure, Casper.
Now, how did you get involved with the cannabis movement per se to begin with?
Well, like any excuse me, like any kid growing up in the 70s and 80s in Miami and in New York, recreational cannabis was a big part of my growing up. But about 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with throat cancer, and I was put on, I went through chemo, and I went through surgeries, and I went through everything else, and I got to the point where they were going to cut my larynx out, and I've been in the private equity and the stock markets for years, raising money in global capital and solutions to global capital. And when they told me I was going to lose my throat and have to talk with one of those machines, there was no way I could do that and still make a living. They put me on some very, very high dose of the pain medication into oxycodone. And I got to the point where I was up to 400, 500, or 600 milligrams of it a day. It was getting to the point where it took over my life, and I didn't like that. I've been sober before that for about 20 years. So I looked for solutions that I could, alternative solutions that I could get off those pills and continue on with my business life and my personal life. And I started using medical marijuana in the drop form and the edible form. After going through a pretty intense detox to get off of those pills, I stuck to the cannabis industry, the medical marijuana industry, the high CBD contents, the different brands, the vaporizers, the edibles, anything I can get my hands on. And I've been off the pain medication now for about 2 years. Then I started looking into the different areas in which I can incorporate the medical marijuana field into my business. And, obviously there's hundreds of marijuana companies or medical marijuana companies that are either going public or in private equity or looking to raise money for whatever reason. And we started getting involved in raising that money for them. We also then found out that in the United States especially, that the banking system will not allow the medical or the marijuana industry as a whole to do any kind of banking in any bank that's federally insured, which meant that all these companies were sitting with high amounts of cash, millions and millions of dollars in cash, as well as they had no credit card processing that they could use not only on their websites, but in their dispensaries and anywhere else. We've now been able to offer that merchant service to the marijuana industry, along with offshore banking in Ireland and in Hong Kong, so that people in the industry can take advantage of banking and not have to sit with all that cash on their hands.
I know I've got a handful of friends who have businesses and dispensaries that, you're right, they face that problem. And they hate having to bury the money under the rug, so to speak.
Yeah.
They have to find a secure spot to keep the cash on hand until they can figure it out. And I've had 3 or 4 friends here in Portland who've had large businesses with staff of 20 or 40 people. And the bank at the last minute, after they even asked in advance, is there a problem with us having a business like this and having bank accounts with you? The banks will say, no, go ahead, put your money in our bags. And then a year later, 2 years later, we've canceled your account, we've closed your savings account. You can't pay your employees until all the checks clear for 30 days, we're tying your funds up. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's a big mess. And on top of that, there's a lot of safety issues that go along with it as well. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad people out in this world, and they look very much for these places that they can rob and go after, because the money's sitting in walls and, like you said, in barrels underneath the sand. Or a service, or the service that we offer or can offer as well, will send vaulted over in cars to pick up the cash and to have it deposited in their personal or their business account, as I said, in either Hong Kong or in Ireland. The service also comes with internet banking and credit cards as well. So there's they can make payments, do anything they want, like any regular business would able to do. It's a great service, and fortunately for us, it's been very successful.
Well, I can see how that would be a big demand with the new growing market, too. There's probably a lot of new businesses springing up, and I'm certain that they are grateful to find you and your team.
That's one way of doing it, as well as we represent a bevy, so to speak, a bevy of marijuana industry, marijuana companies, medical marijuana companies that are either on the verge of going public or have gone public in a small way, that are offering private placement shares and shares in this market. People are getting rich in this market. There's no doubt about it. This is the .com craze of the century. They even have a name for it called the Green Rush. And these companies are doing between 300 and 2,000% a year in investment returns.
Wow.
And really, people who have invested as little as $5,000 to $10,000 have seen gains of upwards of $150,000 or $200,000 within a year. And it's not just a pipe dream. This is really happening.
Good golly. Well, I always knew when I worked for Jack, when we first started out, that this would be a huge industry if we could ever get the regulations to to the point where, well, even now there's more regulations on this plant and on these businesses than there should be, but at least they're becoming a little more lax.
Yeah, well, that, and they're becoming, don't forget, this is now spreading out to be a global concern, whereas Canada and the United States were the ones that brought it up. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sorry. Canada and the United States were the ones that brought it up, but at this point, you have Germany, Switzerland made medical marijuana legal about 8 months ago. You're starting to see marijuana even shipped from Canada and the United States. They just shipped the first 50 kilos, regulated, shipped it from Canada over to Germany. You're seeing this turn out into every stock exchange, the Frankfurt Exchange, the Canadian exchanges, the United States exchanges. Everything is carrying these companies and bringing them public. And, it's a matter of not only for me, it was a personal reason because of the cancer, but at this point, I'm making my clients a fortune of money. And what we're doing is we're developing portfolios just based on the marijuana industry. Take like 5 or 10 companies that are actually, there's only a very few. I probably can't even mention their names, but there's only a very few of these marijuana companies that are showing positive cash flow.
All right.
And it's important, especially if you're investing in these companies, that you know which one of these companies to invest in.
Right.
Just because they say they're doing well doesn't mean they're bringing you a return. And let's put it this way. These companies are now bringing in business people to run them instead of the regular marijuana, so to speak, dealer to sell the weed.
Okay.
And grow it. And becoming a business, an actual business with chief operating officers and chief financial officers and marketing people and actual scientists and everything making these companies work. It's important that the research is done in order to invest in the proper companies and get the proper returns. You could have a company that comes out there and sells a bunch of marijuana, the medical marijuana, and creates a $1 million company. It doesn't mean the company's going to be around next year.
No, it sure doesn't.
Plus, a lot of these companies are setting themselves up for acquisition purposes, merger and acquisition purposes. Once we get the regulation, as you said, Casper, once they make it, let's say, recreational ready, you're going to see companies like Philip Morris and Nestle and the bigger companies all come in and start buying out the proper medical marijuana companies or the proper recreational ones, whether it be the edibles, the oils, the growing, or the distribution. These are the companies that are going to be bought out for billions and billions of dollars. And, there's a lot of room for people to take advantage of that over the next few years.
It sure sounds like it. I know from being involved in this movement as long as I have been that many of the people who have grown in this business have done so by surprise, and they weren't ready for it. They were so used to being underground dealers and being involved with underground dealers that to suddenly be above ground, they don't know how to do business.
Exactly my point. It's got to be run like any other industry. And just because we're not used to it doesn't mean that it can't be run properly. As you said, it was like they weren't ready for it. And now that they're there, they either find a way to incorporate mainstream business within their facility, or they're going to go under. And they're just going to grow what they can grow, sell what they can sell, until it just eats them up alive.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break right now and pay our bills, and then when we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off here at Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network.
please share us with your friends.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Growsentia has developed Mammoth P, an organically derived soil inoculant that maximizes phosphorus and micronutrient cycling to maximize bud growth, increase yield, and enhance plant health. Mammoth P's patent-pending technology is OMRI certified. The increased levels of phosphorus and other micronutrients result in increased stem strength and a 16% increase in harvest yield. Mammoth P is effective in soil, soilless, and hydroponic systems. This biostimulant microbial product really works synergistically with any nutrient and fertilizers in your management and feeding regime. Incorporate Mammoth P into your feeding protocols as a supplement to any fertilizer program. Mammoth P is being used by growers, commercial and hobbyists throughout the US. Go to mammothmicrobes.com to find a store near you or to order through one of the company's online partners. That's mammothmicrobes.com, scientifically proven to grow mammoth buds.
Well, before we kick off the interview, the next part of the interview, I thought it might be good to run some more of the video that Jeffrey made to run on his website. And, you know, his website is a pretty cool little website, to say the least. We want to check it out there. And just say Friedman Finch Associates. You want to go to friedmanfinch.com. There's all kinds of groovy things here to check out. And it's a great spot to check on marijuana stocks, cannabis stocks, and see what's going on. Oops. And everybody needs to share this with their friends if you get a chance to. I forgot when I minimize my window, that disappears, so I'm sorry about that. But we're going to listen to some more of Jeffrey's interview. Yay! That he did on his website. And then when we get done doing that, we're going to come back and listen to the interview that he did on our website. And you might have to turn the volume up a little louder because he's having more problems now with his voice because of the throat cancer than when he made the original video. Which is why I'm mixing the two together, so that gives you a chance to really hear what he has to share and give you an opportunity to learn everything that you can about him and his wonderful company, Friedman Finch.
2016, at least 20 marijuana stocks surged by over 1,000%. Look at OWC Pharmaceutical Research Corp. They're developing marijuana-based treatments for PTSD and migraines. Between September and October, this stock exploded by 5,305%. Signal Bay provides marijuana startups with market research and the expertise they need to acquire their growing licenses. Between July 13th and September the 12th, its stock rose by 7,367%. That's like watching $500 turn into $37,333 in just 2 months. And this is really important to understand. These massive runs all happened before the November elections. November the 8th was a record-breaking and prohibition-busting day for marijuana. On this single day, 4 states gave the green light for recreational marijuana sales. Massachusetts, passing Question 4, could become a $1.1 billion windfall. Maine, approving Question 1, could bring in $107 million. And now that Nevada have passed question 2, they could be in line for a 1.1 billion war chest. But last but not least, California and Proposition 64. Many see this as the knockout blow to pot's prohibition. The Golden State's marijuana industry is now expected to grow to $6.46 billion by the year 2020. But these were just the states that passed recreational laws. In Arkansas, North Dakota, Montana and Florida, voters said yes to medical marijuana. And just in Florida, that could be worth as much as $5.6 billion a year in revenue. And it's worth stressing this point again. For those 20 marijuana stocks that surged over 1,000% in 2016, those runs all happened before the November elections. I predict these new laws are going to unleash a pot stock boom in 2017 that will blow the doors off anything we have seen to this point. And that is really saying something, because this is an industry that has created some astounding windfalls. Take Vape Holdings. Its CEO is a former US naval officer with a master's degree in nuclear engineering. But today, he's in the weed business, selling vaporizer technology. Back in 2014, when a small group of states passed marijuana legislation, Vape Holdings stock shot up from 40 cents a share to $35.50 over the course of about 4 months. That's an 8,875% increase. Now look at Mountain High Acquisitions Corp. It was founded by a man who spent the previous 35 years of his life as an accountant, then decided to launch his marijuana company that focuses on nutraceutical products, and it was a smart move, because his stock that was once trading for just 10 cents a share has risen as high as $14. Investors who timed that just right would have enjoyed a 13,900% windfall. A $500 flyer on Mountain High Acquisitions could have put $70,000 in your pocket. Now, here's the big picture. During this run of states taking a sledgehammer to pot's prohibition, no fewer than 64 marijuana stocks have shot up over 1,000%. 11 of them have surged past 10,000%. 5 have exploded past 25,000%. 3 have soared over 50,000%, and 1 has even surpassed 130,000% in gains. Now most, but not all, marijuana stocks are also penny stocks. And I don't have to tell you this, but penny stocks are riskier and more volatile than your run-of-the-mill blue chips. But by putting a modest investment into just a few of these next-generation weed companies, you could make more money from the stock market than you have ever seen before in your life. That's a truly exceptional situation, one nearly impossible for any investor to anticipate. But frankly, only a tiny fraction of gains like that could change your life. So are you starting to see why someone like me, who has spent his entire career rising to the top of Silicon Valley, is now declaring his love for marijuana? Look at what's on your screen. 64 pot stocks have shot up over 1,000%. No other market has shown such an uncanny ability to deliver these kinds of gains. So I'd have to be crazy not to love marijuana. This is the next big thing. And if you are interested in discovering which pot stocks could be the next to cross the 1,000% milestone, just subscribe now and begin receiving marijuana stock news, articles, trade alerts and more, all 100% free. But first, let me prove to you how predictable this pattern is. Let's go back to 2015, the year that Georgia and Texas legalized medical marijuana and Delaware decriminalized it. This same year, the stock of Rocky Mountain High, a company that sells a range of hemp-infused energy drinks, surged 3,157% in a little over 2 months. Now go back to 2014. Minnesota and New York passed legislation legalizing medical marijuana. Alaska and Oregon gave a big thumbs up to recreational marijuana use, and Maryland decriminalized cannabis. This was an enormous year for marijuana stocks. Take zoned properties. They build sustainable facilities for medical marijuana growers. Care to guess how much the stock of zoned properties rose over a period a little over 3.5 months? 11,781%. Pretty good, right? Not as good as United Cannabis Corporation, a grower of genetically refined strains of medical-grade cannabis plants. In early February, it was trading for about 6 cents a share. By early April, $10.50. So this stock shot up 16,700% over the course of 2 months. I'll repeat that. United Cannabis Corporation, 16,700% in only 2 months. But if you were willing to wait an extra month for your payday, you could have made twice that return with Green Cure's botanical distribution. It creates hemp-infused nutritional supplements for sports recovery and body care. At the beginning of 2014, this stock was trading for barely a penny. By the beginning of April, it had exploded to $5.92 a share. The stock of Green Cure's botanical distribution shot up 36,412% in about 3 months. And that's still not the 2014's top marijuana stock, Supreme Pharmaceuticals was. It operates from a small facility outside of Ontario, Canada, growing cannabis for medical purposes. During July of 2013, shares were priced so far under a penny you would have needed the Hubble Space Telescope to have seen them. By May of 2014, Supreme Pharmaceuticals stock had rocketed up 58,767%. Of course, those are the headliners from the year, but there were plenty of other conservative weed windfalls that were there for the taking as well, like international consolidated companies. It's in the marijuana logistics business. This stock jumped 5,025% between April and September. And Pot Network brands itself as your one-stop spot for what's going on in the marijuana industry for the latest news, food and fashion. Between January 31st and March 24th of 2014, its stock rose from 19 cents a share to $14.38. That's a 7,567% payday.
Wow. So we're going to return to the interview now, and I can certainly tell you I had knocked my socks off to hear all that, and that's why I wanted to make it a point to share all that with you before sharing the interview that we've done here with Jeffrey Goldberg. And Jeffrey, we're coming back to the interview now, and I just want to say how much we appreciate all the hard work you do. Welcome back to our big broadcast here at Time for Hemp. I want to remind you that anywhere sound is found on the internet, we are around making sound about how important it is to end prohibition. We have a live stream that you can listen to at the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network's homepage. And you can find the live stream on many of our apps, including Spreaker, SoundCloud. All of our programs that we create are archived at the Time for Hemp website, as well as you find them on Spreaker, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio. You can watch the videos on Roku TV. You can find the videos on Facebook, YouTube, and we're building our own video platform, and we will be making video sounds and faces and noise on other platforms as we continue to grow here at Time for Hemp. That is a shameless plug. I apologize for doing that in the middle of your show, Jeffrey, but that is how we're found. Now, we are talking to Jeffrey Goldberg today. And Jeffrey, you are a financier, pretty much. You help people take care of their money. You help people make sure that their money is safe. You understand the stock market. And you're pretty wise when it comes to all that groovy stuff. But it was dealing with cancer that brought you into the cannabis movement and made you aware of the cannabis industry. What were you doing prior to that made you ready and prepared you for this industry?
Well, I went to New York University to the Stern School of Business. I came over to Europe about 15 years ago, and I've been handling private equity, mergers and acquisitions, and basically raising money for the last 15 years. We've been handling portfolios for private individuals, handling family wealth, doing trading and commodities and stock trading for individuals, families, and businesses for the last 15 years.
Well, that is a way of getting yourself acquainted with all the right people for all the right reasons, and then all of a sudden you were forced to deal with something as difficult as cancer. And now, dealing with medical cannabis has made that a little more bearable and easier for you to contend with? What are the benefits, and how does it help you with your struggle and your fight?
First of all, let me just say this, that the mainstream medical industry is still very, very easy to hand out drugs, addictive drugs, drugs that may help with the pain, but there's a lot more pain that goes with it once you recover or you go into remission. I was clean and sober from alcohol and drugs for close to 15, 20 years before I was diagnosed with cancer. And when I went to see medical professionals, I told every single one of them up front the minute I walked in their office that, yeah, for years I had a drug and alcohol problem. I don't do it anymore. I want you to be aware of that. And yet they took out that pad and wrote that prescription like they would give me a lottery ticket. And it's a drug that creeps up on you because, especially the cancer I had, the throat cancer, and in regard to doing what I do for a living, I'm on the phone and I'm talking all day long. And the pain was just unbearable. So they were giving me this drug and giving me this drug, and I was taking it, and building up a tolerance, so I was taking more. And based on my issues in the past, I would take more and more and more and more and more.
Jeepers.
I got to the point where I was up to 600 or 800 milligrams a day, and that would kill the normal. It would kill the normal human. 6 to 800 milligrams of oxycodone would kill the normal human. Yet I was taking it like a fast dispenser. I didn't know how addictive it was, although I heard. I'm not stupid. I've heard all about being addicted to pain medication and where it leads you. But I always thought I'm not one of those people because I take it from the doctor. Then one night, after my surgery, I decided I've been taking this long enough. I'm going to stop. I didn't cut down. I didn't go through any kind of medically induced withdrawal. I just said I'm going to stop. And I literally threw away all the pills. And about 8 hours after I did that, I was flapping on the floor like a flounder.
Oh my God.
I have never experienced, you look at TV and you look at the normal heroin addict in the street going through withdrawal.
Right.
And you say to yourself, that can't be me. Well, that was me.
Oh my gosh.
It was so bad that the next morning, the minute the pharmacy opened, I was at I'm in Europe, so it's a lot different than the States. I was in my pharmacist's office trying to give me something to get rid of that withdrawal. When they gave it to me, I went to see the doctors, and they said, you can't just give it up like that. You have to go slowly. And what they meant by slowly is they wanted me to spend 6 to 8 to 10 months, even a year or 2 years, slowly getting off the oxycodone. I have an addictive personality, and that would never work for me.
It takes that long? It takes that long for a person with that type of personality to get off of Oxycontin?
Well, from what I understand, it takes a lot longer for some people.
Wow.
But what happened with me was I started, I had some friends who were involved in medical marijuana, and they were making me gel caps with coconut oil and simmering the weed in the coconut oil and then making caps out of it. And I used that and vaporizers and edibles to get some point where I was able to give up the oxycodone. And I haven't taken an oxycodone pill in probably close to 11 months, which for me was a big deal, going from 800 milligrams a day. I don't suggest that anybody goes off of that kind of medication without any kind of medical supervision, because the way I felt, I literally would have rather been dead than go through that again.
Good golly.
Yeah.
I had no idea, because I've had other friends deal with Oxycontin, and to hear them talk, it just sounds exasperating, to say the least.
That's one word for it. I've never experienced the kind of pain and withdrawal that you can picture yourself having the worst flu you've ever had in your life and multiply it by 100, and you haven't even come through the door of what you feel like when you're coming off of those pills.
Good Lord.
When they say that people will kill for it, rob for it, steal for it, I can understand. I really can.
Wow.
And I never did that, but I wouldn't surprise me that people do it. It's a horrible drug. It's promoted by the medical industry without any alternative or any kind of method to get off of it. Nobody tells you when you start that you're going to be addicted to it. You got to come off of it. Even though I've been involved in the drug, let's say, industry for years, you always look at it and say, that can't be me. I'm getting it from a doctor. I'm doing what the doctor says. And even if you multiply what the doctor says, you still say I'm getting it from a doctor. And it's not like that. And I've not had one medical professional say to me, gee, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the way it is. No, they just keep giving it out. I can walk into 5 doctor's offices tomorrow and they'll write me a prescription like without even giving me a checkup.
When you turned your back on the pills, did cannabis, number one, get you beyond your addiction, and two, help you with your cancer?
Yeah, very much so. As a matter of fact, 2 things. It did help me with the withdrawal and help me with the urge for more, so to speak. It helped me for the urge for more. It helped me with the pain and suffering that goes along with it. But more importantly, it took care of the pain that I had from the cancer.
Okay.
And it gave me the ability to eat and live a normal life with the cancer. I had 2 surgeries to take out the tumors on both vocal cords, 1 vocal cord at a time. I went through around it. Okay, here's a good example. I would rather go through chemotherapy than go through withdrawal from oxycodone.
Good Lord. Now, that was another thing I was going to ask. If the doctor were to say to you, you got cancer and we're going to put you on chemo, would you just say no, you're going to do cannabis?
At this point, yeah. But that doesn't go for everybody. It depends on the type of cancer.
Okay.
For my cancer, yeah, I wouldn't take chemo again. The next step for me would be to take my larynx out. But there's other alternatives now that were available 5 and 6 years ago even, that they can build you a new larynx from a muscle in your shoulder now. There's chemo or radiation and things like that. So they've come a long way. And you know from other people I've spoken to who are affected by cancer in different other areas, not just their throat, but leukemia, and people that really going through chemo, that the medical marijuana has been a godsend. It's kept them from getting nauseous, from getting sick, giving them an appetite, really helped them through it. And I still think that medical marijuana is looked upon by certain, let's just call it areas or people as something bad or something that's drug oriented in regard to like recreation. And although people use it recreationally, medical marijuana doesn't do that. I don't know if I didn't think so, but you don't get high from medical marijuana. But it does help. It helps you with your appetite. It helps you with the nausea. It really helped me. I swear by it. And the edibles taste pretty good too.
I hear it can be tasty as some treats. You made me laugh. Because, yeah, it made me stop and think about some of the nummies that I've had here in the Portland area by some of our fine chefs. So, yes, you're right. It can taste good.
My wife is Dutch. And when I first got to Holland 15 years ago, there were certain coffee shops that sold buns and space cake. And that's what I attributed to edibles. And when you took those, you couldn't even get up and walk. That's the stones you got. With these edibles, affect you in a different way. I kept sitting there eating the gummy bears, thinking, when am I going to feel it? But it did take, before I knew it, I was eating something else, and I wasn't nauseous anymore. So yeah, I think, and it helps for me, personally, it helps a great deal with the pain.
Yeah, and you're right. There are people who, for some reason, and I never understood why it is, they think, well, that's from that plant that you smoked to get stoned with. I mean, if nothing else, when I was a child, I knew about corn squeezins, and corn squeezins was liquor and made you drunk, but I also knew that corn on the cob tasted very good and was very good for my body. So I can figure out one from the other. Hello?
Yeah, but it's funny because your mindset is always, we have people that invest with us that at first look at it as, I don't think I can do that because marijuana is illegal, where we are. And you're not, buying stock in a marijuana company is not illegal. No
Right.
matter where, it's just not. But we're still overcoming a lot of connotations that, silly things that people believe that I think have not gotten overcome that should. For example, again, in Switzerland, they opened up medical marijuana let's say about 8 months ago, and you never heard a word about it. You never saw the advertising, you never saw anything. So you walked down the street, you saw the dispensaries that you could walk up to and get it from. They're now putting it into pharmacies in Lucerne, by prescription only in certain places, and it's helping a great deal. I just think that the word needs to get out a lot as to, one, what it can do for people who are sick, because that's how I got involved in it, and two, really, how much money people can really make. You can put your kids through school, through college by investing in these companies. But again, they have to be the right companies.
Well, and I also remind people, thank you very much. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Anybody who's listening who is a business who's looking to reach the cannabis movement with your product and or services, remember when you advertise with us and you sponsor with us, number one, all your advertising is a tax write-off normally in whatever country you live in. So that means you're using your government's money to fight your government's rules when you advertise with us. And you're helping us to raise the voice of the cannabis movement to get messages like this one out, like Jeff's talking about today, about the wonderful way cannabis has helped him deal with the pain that comes with cancer and how he's been able to overcome his struggle with this horrible disease. Right, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And my whole focus of business now is developing and helping the marijuana companies that are worth it to raise money, raise capital, so they can be put together properly and guide them through the steps to be a legitimate company. And two, taking the private individual who's been sold every bill of goods in the stock market, how much money they're going to make, and they never get to that point because they're told about it 10 weeks after it's already happened. And now they have an opportunity to get involved in an industry at a ground level still and to make the kind of money that people have been talking about.
yeah, that is true. That's what makes it really exciting because we are all pioneers in the sense that because of this plant and having to deal with all the prohibition and the regulations and around the world about it, now that it is coming out from underneath the rock, so to speak, it is something completely brand new for people to deal with because we're still fighting people who want to regulate it. In California, as an example, all medicines are tax-free except for one, cannabis, right? And as an example, and in Oregon, all plants you can grow for commerce, like tomatoes and soybean, except for what? Hemp. And when you do, there's so many regulations that it's almost cost prohibitive, right, Jeffrey?
Yeah, absolutely. And the tax is ridiculous. I don't know what it is. I think it's something like, it goes as high as 60%, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you got tax on tax on tax. It starts out a little tax here that they wrote into legislation, and then when it gets to a chamber of commerce or some city council, they allow it to be a business in their community, but they want taxes to help generate the streets and the schools, right? And then when they get that, and then there's a state tax that people want to put on to build the roads and the industry, the lotto, right? And then on top of that, then there's usually a federal tax pissed on top of that to help Uncle Sam buy the bombs and pay for the bullets that fight for overseas, right? So, yeah, by the time you get done with it, it is about 70%, 60% tax of what's being spent for every dollar.
The funny part is that these are really good people who are working really hard to make a living. And everybody thinks because they're involved in the marijuana industry that they're making millions of dollars. And a lot of them are really struggling because, one, they have to pay that kind of tax. Two, the federal government doesn't allow them to use the bankings, so they're burying cash in the backyard. A lot of these people are getting robbed and hurt through that method. Three, we have just been able to start offering merchant services and cash pickups by armored car to put the money offshore, either in Ireland or Hong Kong. And on top of that, it is legal to buy shares in companies that are marijuana related. And just because you're in a state or a country that marijuana is not legal in doesn't mean you can't buy the stock in that company or share of stock in that company.
Exactly, and it is weird the way these laws operate. I can think of two off the top of my head. In Australia, you can put out hemp foods and package them, but on the package you have to say this was produced with no intention of being consumed or ate by the purchaser. But it's like, right? And then another thing is like in Canada. Canada is a country where the government will help offset the cost of advertising the hemp products because they're proud of their hemp products, their hemp cloth, their hemp fuels, their hemp plastics, and they want their hemp industry to grow. So Canada gets behind the hemp industry and helps to promote it. So it's also weird from country to country how this plant is being treated.
Yeah, it is. It's also, as you said, in Canada, you can look at a slew of companies that have gone public on the smaller exchanges such as Toronto and Vancouver, and they're making tremendous amounts of money. But they're also they're picking up market share. They're paying off their investors. They're reaping dividends on their shares. It's a good industry, and I think that if people looked at it as a good industry and not something evil, and started making this part of their everyday investment. Listen, let's face it. You just mentioned Colorado. I'm not sure about this statement, but didn't they pay off all their school debt? They rebuilt all their schools and all the roads and everything else.
I'm not sure what they've done with it, but I can certainly tell you they are enjoying the biggest boom in their taxing history. You're right. Colorado has generated enough revenue through taxing the medical cannabis and recreational cannabis industry where they are paying off debt and they are expanding left and right. You're absolutely right.
And if the governments can do it that way, why not individuals? I mean, why don't other people take advantage of it where it's out there to take advantage of?
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's a good thing because let's face it, when Steve Jobs opened Apple in his garage, people didn't run out to buy his shares. Now you can't.
And with that said, we're going to take a commercial break and pay our bills. And when we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off here at Time for Hemp.
Have you ever had a problem with overcooking your cannabis oil? You probably wanted to rip your hair out when you burned off all the THC, right? I even cried one time when my brownies failed to make a good impression at the party. Well, I stopped crying when I found Magical Butter. Magical Butter is a device with a microprocessor-controlled program sequencer. It was designed by a scientist and a chemist to precisely extract the benefits of various herbs. Magical Butter easily makes botanical butter, oils, tinctures, lotions, sauces, and more. Magical Butter heats your oil and your herbs at the perfect temperature every time. Check us out at magicalbutter.com because it's magical. Okay, there's a lot of science and chemistry involved, but it sure works like magic.
Hey, Bob. What's up, man?
I'm just surfing all over the web, trying to find some info on medical marijuana and the best strains of cannabis, advice for growers.
Looks like you're having a hard time, bro.
There's gotta be a million websites out there.
True, but you really only need one website to find out what you need. It'll save you a bunch of time.
Sounds great. What is it?
Check out Canafo.com. Cannafo.com.
That's right, Tommy and Bob. Canafo.com is the world's first online directory, marketplace, news portal, growing advice resource, and social
social media platform for all things cannabis.
Dude, where's that voice coming from?
You hear that too? Maybe we ought to cut back a little.
Canafo.com is the Google, Facebook, and Craigslist of cannabis. It even has its own social media platform. Canafo.com puts everything cannabis in one place for consumers, business, and growers. Canafo.com is a free service where you can find over 9,000 different strains of cannabis.
Whoa!
Shop cannabis classifieds and much, much more. Canafo.com. Visit today and get in the know with Canafo.
You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. The only broadcasting network dedicated to ending the global war on drugs on iHeartRadio. Please share us with your friends.
Well, we are going to kick off this last segment of the interview with Jeffrey Goldberg, but before we do, I'm going to play some more of his video that you find on his homepage, his website. It's a groovy place to go and visit. I would encourage you to
Mr. President, it's high time to address research.
We want to check that out a couple of times when we get a chance to. We'll talk about that later, but we also want to make it a point for everybody to go to the full website and see how cool it is, and you can also find out how to contact them and learn more about them if you get a chance to. And do make it a point to share it with your friends. Absolutely. That's how all of this gets found. So anyway, we do want to get on with this show. It's a bit long today, but we do want to make sure that you get a chance to hear everything that this fantastic company has to share. And please do let your friends know about this. It's a great way of setting aside some extra money for the future. You know, you never know what could happen. And it's a way of getting involved in the stock market too without taking a giant risk. And these are good people. They've been at it for a long time. So anyway, let's pick up where we left off on Jeffrey's video. And then don't forget the interview. You'll have to turn it up so that people can hear all that Jeffrey has to say. He's still dealing with some problems with his voice from the throat cancer that he's got to put up with. So
you might be saying, Jeffrey, these are exceptional situations, rare opportunities. To that, I say, yes, they are. They seem to just pop up around the time new legislation is passed. You can obviously tell I'm very excited about what's ahead for the marijuana industry. But I also prefer straight talk. We all know that nothing in the stock market is guaranteed, and anyone who tells you that they have a crystal ball and with absolute certainty can promise future gains is not someone you want to be doing business with. I, on the other hand, am a very analytical person by nature. I look for hard evidence and concrete historical patterns, and that's exactly why I'm all in on marijuana, because there's a lot to learn from recent history. Let's jump back to 2012. That was the year that Massachusetts legalized medical marijuana. But that wasn't the big story. Washington State and Colorado legalized recreational use of marijuana. With Colorado, it took a couple of years for the first dispensaries to open. Now it's a $1 billion industry in the state. So let's look at Cannabis Sativa, a marketer of herbal skincare products. In March of 2012, Cannabis Sativa was trading for 25 cents a share. A little over 2 years later, it peaked at $13.72. That's a 5,388% rise. 2012 would also mark the starting point of the biggest stock windfall I've ever seen. Praetorian Property buys up distressed real estate in less than desirable areas. It then rehabs these lots so that they can be sold or leased to marijuana growers in states where weed has been legalized. Between June of 2012 and March of 2014, Praetoria Properties' price rose 135,614%. Let's put that in perspective. Over the last 25 years, the share price of electronic retailer Best Buy's rocketed by 28,703%. Computer software maker Microsoft rose by 29,266%. Computer hardware heavyweight Cisco Systems soared by 33,632%. Insurance juggernaut United Health Group 33,672%. Money management firm Eaton Vance by 38,444%. Industrial tools manufacturer Danaher rose by 47,913%. And mutual fund manager Franklin Resources jumped by 64,224%. It took Praetorian Properties just 2 years to put them all to shame. It was a potential 135,614%. If you had invested just $500 in this weed stock, it could have made you $678,571 richer. A $1,000 stake could have transformed into a nearly incomprehensible $1,357,143. I think the pattern I've shown you is pretty clear. Every time a state passes a new law, it delivers a massive blow to the prohibition of marijuana. It creates new business opportunities and rapid growth for the top players across the country. And over the years, a handful of states enacting new marijuana laws here and a handful of states there have helped propel 64 weed stocks past 1,000% gains. 20 of them hit this mark in 2016 alone. 11 of these stocks soared past 10,000%, 5 past 25,000%, and 3 past 50,000%, and 1 has surged past 135,000%. And this all happened before the November election. Imagine what's in store for the market now. This is no longer Wall Street's wild, wild west. The market has matured. During a recent $130 million spending spree, Scott's Miracle-Gro acquired General Hydroponics, whose equipment is used to cultivate marijuana. Microsoft has announced it will begin selling software that tracks marijuana plants from seed to sale. Walmart and Kroger have gone into business with marijuana heavyweight TerraTech. Shoppers can now walk down the aisles and choose from their legally grown crop through Edible Garden. Walgreens is a $103 billion pharmacy chain. It operates over 8,200 branches in all 50 states, and in an impossible-to-ignore sign, Walgreens has begun sharing the potential medical benefits of marijuana on its website. The prohibition of pot is coming to an end. And if you want to join the ranks of marijuana millionaires, subscribe now for the latest marijuana stock news, articles and trade alerts, absolutely free. As I mentioned, I have spent over 3 decades in Silicon Valley as a board member of a venture capital firm and a senior advisor to high-tech startup companies. For the last 8 months, my team and I have dedicated thousands of man-hours and over $250,000 towards the most exhaustive analysis of the marijuana industry to date. I've met with the leading growers, dispensaries, the angel investors. I've vetted the next generation of weed stocks that are poised to make investors rich. And I'm now sharing that knowledge and expertise with anyone who subscribes. If you want to change your life, subscribe now.
Welcome back to the big broadcast here at Time for Hemp. You are listening to us all around the world on Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, one of my favorites, iHeartRadio. We love you, though. People out there at iHeartRadio is also broadcasting their stream through Roku TV. Those of you who don't know about Roku TV, you need to plug into it. It's a lot like Google Plus TV, or there's a few other internet boxes that you can pick up. And Roku is now built into the Samsung and some of the other smart TVs that are made and sold all around the world at various stores. And it's really inexpensive to get a Roku box, and you can save lots of money. And even Comcast is now putting their cable fare through Roku. Another shameless plug for the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network, but that's how we get discovered. Those of you who are listening around the clock to our live stream, we sure appreciate that. And we put all kinds of new content there. We have a couple of hours of music, and then a little bit of talk, and then some more music. And the talk that we put out is about how important it is to end cannabis prohibition. Please share us with your friends. On the program today, Jeffrey Goldberg and I are chatting about ways of making money safe for the cannabis movement, transporting it, saving it, making it grow for you. And I can certainly tell you it has been interesting. Now, you were doing all this kind of highfalutin, rootin' tootin', let me help you build your portfolio and keep your money safe with people before you dealt with cancer and then discovered the wonders of cannabis. And then suddenly, not only did cannabis become something that you did by happen chance, to something that you do to help overcome the pain, to something that is now like the primary focus of your business. That's got to be kind of a surprise to people who were in business with you before, maybe. And how is it affecting your business growth now?
Well, our business has never been better, and we've never made more money for people and ourselves. What we found is, you know, in the past, we get people to diversify their portfolios into safe, secure, blue chip stocks. And you know, everybody out there and their uncle was selling Google, Apple, you know, any of the companies, in Tesla, any of the companies you want to talk about that were making money. And then slowly and through the back door, these medical marijuana companies were making 100%, 200%, 300%, up to 2,000% a year. That they're not the penny stocks that people looked at in the past, where you bought a whole bunch of it and then you couldn't sell it because there was no volume to sell it to. There's plenty of volume, plenty of liquidity. You can cash out of these stocks whenever you want to, and you can make some real money. We have taken the focus of our company and our business, and that's all we do. We put people into marijuana companies that are making money, and that's it. Funds, different kinds of areas, but we research these companies, we research the management of these companies, we research the financials of these companies, because there's a ton of them out there that will tell you they're making money, and they're not. And then there's the few that are making money, and you can make money with them. But the same as anything else, you know, we do all the legwork for you, and then tell you where to put it.
I would think that some of that has to do with the intent of the company. And I say that because here at Time for Hemp, everything is built on love. Every decision is based on love. Everything that we look at, every. I know it sounds kind of hokey and middle century, but if it's going to help somebody, if it's going to project a good feeling of love and help somebody get a positive new turn in their path, we'll do it. And that's the first thing that we look at before we say yes or no to anything else. And some people are just, how much can I get?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. We do the same thing here. We look for companies that believe in what they're doing and believe in the product that they're putting out and the service that they're offering and the type of money that can be made by doing what they do. And it's funnily enough, like you said, the people that are let's call it lifelong committed to these companies are the companies that are making the money. It's not the backdoor drug dealer selling weed on a corner that you're going to make money with anymore. And now they're making money. Let's not kid ourselves. Those companies are making money, but they're not making money for long. When they don't treat it as a business, you know, growing weed is like growing tomatoes or growing anything else. You need a big business behind it, and that's what we look for.
Yeah, and I've actually said that to people. I say, you know, if you want to put it on the tomato platform, that's fine. If I grow it for you in my backyard, it's none of your business how I do it. But if I'm going to go down to the grocery store and I'm going to buy some tomatoes, I want to know what kind of pesticide was used on it. I want to know everything about the ground. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And if somebody gives me some kind of tomato paste to use for my spaghetti, I want to make sure that it was made in a clean kitchen, and that everything that it says that's on the can, that's in the ingredients, is what's in it, nothing more, and nothing less. You're absolutely right.
You know what? That's a really good comment you made, Casper, because in Switzerland, before they could sell 1 gram of their medical marijuana, it has to go through lab-tested scenarios with, with generating an entire report showing the CBD content and the THC content and how it was grown and where it was grown, what soil was used, like you said, what pesticides and everything else. And I'd rather invest in a company that puts their money into something like that takes a shovel, goes in the backyard, and has their dog fertilize it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you say that you help companies. Do you help companies just in any one country or any couple of countries, or are you global, or what?
We're global. We'll help you in any country you're in. As a company, as an individual investor, we'll show you how you can make money in this market. We'll show you how to test the investment market here. We'll pretty much, and this is, this is a far-gone statement, but we'll pretty much guarantee that you won't lose money. And that's a hard thing to say.
Okay, now, prior to being involved in the cannabis movement and stocks and all those things that go with it, it was like you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to help you build your portfolio. Let's take a look at Nabisco and Johnson & Johnson, and I think General Motors is going to do okay this year. Now you're talking about a variety of cannabis and marijuana businesses, and that's got to be, one, interesting, and two, how much different. Are there like a whole bunch of different regulations that you got to learn and deal with when they're selling any other kind of stock, or what?
Anything else, they're regulated heavily. When they go public, if a company is going public, if they're going public in the United States, they might not be able to be sold in Canada. If they're going public in Canada, they might not be able to be sold in the United States. It all depends. Even worldwide, these companies, a lot of them are so regulated that they can't go public, but they need to raise private equity. And we can raise the private equity for these companies in order to make them whole and solid and get the money they need to move to that next level. The same is with an individual investor. We can add enough, let's call it juice, to their portfolio to change something that was doing, people were happy making what? 1%, 1.5% a month.
Yeah, that's good. Oh my God, that's great.
People would love me, but now with this industry, you're talking about making 100, 200, 400% on your money every year. It's incredible.
So, okay, now let's say that I own a dispensary in the middle of Colorado, and the bank, I can't find a bank to take my money. I've got employees that I have got to pay. I got to pay taxes on the money, even though the bank won't let me make a deposit, and I got to pay my employees, and I got to track that. I got to be able to let my customer know that they've got a receipt for their purchase, and all. And I'm having a real problem with all the regulations in my state and county, and I call you. How can you help me?
We can put in place a complete cash management system. Not only would we could take your cash that you have buried in your backyard and get it into a bank for you, but we get you a bank account that you can use to pay these taxes and pay these, your employees and not worry about what you're doing every day. The problem, I think a lot of the big problem comes in where the federal laws supersede. So it's your cash, you put your cash where you pay the taxes, where you pay the bill. We can put a system in place that covers all of that. And we can get it into a banking system that you can treat like a regular business. And that's the important part. The important part is that you pay your bills and stuff to operate like a regular, everyday farm facility, so to speak. For the individual investor, we can add to your portfolio where you can make enough money in this industry to do the things and set up the retirement funds that people have been dreaming about for years. The last time something like this came about was during the dot-com craze. And people either got in early and made a lot of money, or they got late and thought they were making a lot of money. Now's the time to take advantage of it. If you don't take advantage of it now, 5 years from now, people are going to be saying, God damn, I wish I did that. And that's never a good thing. It's never a good thing to say, I wish I did that, instead of saying, guess what, I did do that. And now your kids are going to school, and you're paying for that, your kids' houses and everything else. And you're paying it for the profits that you made in this industry. And It's just an incredible time to invest. And let us help you with your business problems. Either way, we can help you. What we have to do, what we would do is do an entire financial analysis of either your individual portfolio or your individual business and come up with a game plan that we feel can help you go to that next level. And once we come up with the game plan, that's completely free of charge. And once we come up with that game plan, it's up to you whether you take it on or not. We don't push people. We don't try to sell people. We'll give you we'll give you our honest opinion as to where we feel we can help you individually and company-wise, and go from there.
Well, now that's fantastic, because there are a lot of headaches in dealing with just this aspect of any particular business, let alone the cannabis business that's growing so quickly and is generating such a large volume of sales. Because, I mean, if you can just solve those problems alone, that still means you got to look at other problems that your own locale is going to lay on your table. No matter who you are, they're going to say you can't have a business so many feet from a school or so many feet from another business like yours, and you can't have advertising any higher than or any lower than, right? Am I right there?
Yeah, very, very right. Very right. Yeah, I mean, look, we can help in many different ways. We'd love for people to contact us and give us the opportunity to show them what we can do for them.
Now, you've got a lot of services that you do offer on your website. That is the best and easy way to reach out to you. And I'll let you give out a shout out to your website, please.
Our website is www.friedman, Friedman, Fitch, FITCH.com. That's friedmanfitch.com. You can fill out the request a call or go through our website, see how we can help you, and give us the opportunity. That's all we ask for.
And I can certainly tell you it will be a benefit to anybody who involves themselves in the cannabis industry to have these problems resolved by a professional team who know exactly what they're doing. Now, you are all around the world. You got offices in Hong Kong, it looks like, and Switzerland and America as well, right?
Well, we kind of stay away from America right now.
Really? You don't love our country with all our wonderful regulations?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great place to be taxed and beat up. But
yeah, right. You're right. Taxes here are high.
We are right now. We're in South America. We're in Switzerland and we're in Hong Kong. But we do business globally. In any country, any state, we'd be happy to help you out.
And so that, in other words, that doesn't limit you just to help a company in Colorado because you don't have an office here in the U.S., correct?
No, absolutely not. We can help you anywhere.
That's what I wanted to make certain that our listeners understood as well. That's why I asked that a couple of times in a couple of different ways. So it's been fun. I want to let people know, too, that you have joined our family, and we do appreciate you being part of our team. And when people visit your website, is there a way that they can let you know that they heard about you here on the big broadcast?
Yeah, just put it into the comment section of when they're looking for a call. Send us an email. And we will be putting a link to your show on our website shortly. I think it's being worked on now. And yeah, just let us know where you came from, and we'll help you out even further.
And
that extra post that you came from Casper.
Cool. And I do encourage anybody out there who is building a business to take a look at all the regulations that you're going to have to scratch your head to. Again, if someone else can solve those problems for you and make sure that those problems are solved before they become problems, because that's another thing. You stay on top of the regulations and you know what's coming down the pike. So if any type of change needs to be made in handling things, you're already on it, aren't you?
That's very true, yes. And we can tell you how to either get around it or live with it.
I like to leave with it. Get around it or live with it. One or the other. That is true. All right. Well, we're going to be having you back as a guest on the big broadcast, and we want to thank you for being part of our family. Give one last shout out for your website.
That's friedmanfitch.com, www.friedmanfitch, sorry, it's late for me. So let me do it again. It's Friedman Fitch, FriedmanFitch.com.
And they got a lovely green leaf staring at you, and they are the #1 advisor for marijuana investing and free constellation. And it would behoove you to contact them as soon as you can. Don't forget, we are heard all around the world on the big broadcast. We got Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, anywhere we're making a sound can be found. We're around making sound. Do remember, the next time you see me, you'll know that it's time for hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look and spend some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for him. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 bales of oil. No need for pesticides to poison